My name is Melissa Unoa. I'm 31 years old. On October 18, 2025, my parents boycotted my wedding. A wedding I had planned for months. 200 guests. A venue booked 18 months in advance. The most important day of my life. They didn't show up, not because we had fought, not because I had done something unforgivable, but because I refused to change my wedding date to accommodate my sister's vacation to Bali. 2 seats in the front row sat empty the entire ceremony. Everyone saw them. Everyone understood what they meant. Before that day, my father had said to me plainly, "If you don't change the date, don't expect us to be there. We're going to teach you a lesson." They kept their word. The whispers started before the ceremony even began. People tried to act normal, but my parents' absence was a void too enormous to ignore. What no one in that room knew, what my parents had no idea about, was what my husband James had spent 3 weeks quietly uncovering. And they definitely didn't know that at 8:23 p.m. that night, James would stand up at our reception and tell every single person in that room one thing. One thing I am certain my parents never wanted anyone to know. That was the moment everything flipped. Their reputation, their business, their control over my life. This is what happened. It started, like any good story, with hope. December 17, 2023. James proposed to me at Zilker Park in Austin. Simple and perfect, a blanket under the oak trees, string lights he had hung himself, and a ring his grandmother had worn for 60 years. When I said yes, I felt like the luckiest woman alive. The next morning, I called my parents. My mother cried. I thought they were happy tears. My father's voice was warm, almost proud. "Melissa, we're so happy for you. We'll help however we can." I should have recorded that call. I should have saved it, but I didn't yet know I would need proof of kindness. A week later, over lunch at their house in Westlake Hills, marble countertops, vaulted ceilings, the kind of home that announces its own success, my mother set down her wine glass and smiled. "Melissa, honey, your grandparents left something for this. For your wedding." "What do you mean?" "The trust fund," she said, as if it were obvious. "When Grandma and Grandpa passed in 2019, they set aside money specifically for this. $120,000 for their first grandchild to get married." My throat tightened. That's me. Yes, sweetheart. That's you." My grandparents had been gone for almost 5 years. But in that moment, I felt them, felt their love reaching forward through time. They had planned for this. They had wanted it for me. "You're the first grandchild to marry," my father added from across the table, barely looking up from his phone. "That money is yours." I hugged my mother. I thanked my father. I floated out of that house thinking, for once, I'm the priority. I should have known better. By April 2024, James and I had toured 11 wedding venues. Exhausted and nearly defeated, we walked into Barton Creek Resort and Spa, the Overlook Pavilion, outdoor string lights, hill country views, capacity for 200 guests. I walked in and felt it immediately. This was the place. "We'll take it," I told the coordinator, Jenna Morrison. October 18, 2025. Perfect. That's 18 months out. You're smart to book early. Fall weddings here go fast. The deposit was $8,500. Non-refundable. James and I split it from our savings and signed the contract on April 3, 2024. I texted my parents a photo of the pavilion. My mother replied within minutes, "Sweetheart, the venue is stunning. October 18th is perfect. Fall weather, beautiful photos. We can't wait to celebrate you." I saved that text. I didn't fully understand why at the time. My sister Claire is 28, 3 years younger than me, but you would think she was royalty from how my parents treated her. She's a lifestyle influencer. At the time, she had 156,000 followers on Instagram, posting photos of Bali sunsets, European cafes, and wellness retreats. She has never held a conventional job. My parents fund everything: rent, car, travel. They call it supporting her dreams. Growing up, Claire got ballet lessons, piano lessons, art camp in Santa Fe. I got, "Melissa, you're so responsible, you don't need help." When I graduated college with honors, my father said, "That's good, honey," and went back to watching football. When Claire posted her first Instagram reel that hit 10,000 views, my parents threw a dinner party. I learned early which daughter I was. Not the golden child. The reliable one. The one who'd be fine. At Thanksgiving 2019, right after my grandparents died, my father looked at Claire across the table with a light in his eyes and said, "Claire's going to do something big. She's got that spark." Then he looked at me. "Melissa, you're steady. Steady is good. You'll be fine." Fine. That word followed me for years. In June 2025, Claire posted an Instagram story, a video of herself jumping on her bed, squealing. The caption, "Just booked the opportunity of a lifetime. Bali, here I come." I didn't think much of it. Claire was always going somewhere. Then on July 15, 2025, 3 months before my wedding, my mother texted, "Call me about the date." I stepped outside into the Texas heat. "It's about your wedding date," she said, her voice tight. Claire booked a trip. A wellness retreat in Bali. It's a huge opportunity for her. Networking with major brands, content creation. It's non-refundable. My chest tightened. "Okay. When is it?" "October 12th through the 26th. Silence. "Mom, that's my wedding." "I know, sweetheart. That's why I'm calling. Can you move it? Maybe November, or even spring of next year." I stared at the parking lot. Heat shimmered off the asphalt. "Mom, we booked the venue 18 months ago. We sent save the dates to 200 people in May. The florist contract is signed. My dress is being altered. Everything is locked in." I understand, but this is important for Claire. This trip cost $18,000. If she cancels, that money is gone. $18,000 for a vacation. James and I had scraped together $52,000 over 5 years of saving, every dollar counted, and they wanted me to dissolve it for Claire's Instagram content. "No," I said. "I'm not changing the date." My mother's voice turned cold. "Melissa, this is about family. We have a contract, Mom." "I'll call you back," she said, and hung up. I stood there in the heat, phone in my hand, feeling the first crack form. 2 days later, my father called. His voice had changed. This was the tone he used at the dealership when a deal was going sideways. "Melissa, this is about family. Claire's career is important. You're being selfish." Selfish. That word hit like a slap. "Dad, we signed a contract. Money isn't the point. Respect is. We're not changing the date." He exhaled sharply. "Then we have a problem." He hung up. I stood shaking in my apartment. James came into the room, saw my face, and pulled me close. "He called me selfish," I said. "You're not selfish," James said. "You're standing up for yourself. There's a difference." I wanted to believe him. But part of me, the part that had spent 31 years trying to earn my parents' approval, felt like maybe I was wrong. Maybe I should just move the date. Maybe I was tearing the family apart. That night, I couldn't sleep. On July 22nd, my parents demanded an in-person meeting. James and I drove to Westlake Hills. The air conditioning was on full blast, but my palms were sweating. Claire was there on speakerphone from Los Angeles. I could hear cafe noise in the background. She wasn't even taking this seriously. My mother sat across from us, hands folded. My father stood by the window, arms crossed. "We've come up with a compromise," my mother said. "You move the wedding to May 2026. We'll help pay the change fees. Everyone wins." I looked at James. He squeezed my hand under the table. "The change fees would be $12,000 to $15,000 minimum," I said. "And we'd lose our date." We'd have to start over from scratch. My father turned from the window. We're offering to help. What more do you want? Claire's voice crackled through the speaker. I mean, I already paid the deposit for Bali, so. Something snapped inside me. No, I said. The date stays. My father's face hardened. The meeting ended 10 minutes later. As James and I walked to the car, my mother stood in the doorway crying. My father didn't even look at me. The next morning, I woke up to a text from my father. Timestamp, 6:52 a.m. Since you've chosen this path, don't expect our financial support. You're on your own. Your mother is devastated. I hope you're proud of yourself. The $120,000 grandma and grandpa left, that was for a wedding that honored family. This doesn't qualify. You'll get nothing from us. I read it 3 times. Then I showed James. Can they do that? I asked. Legally. James's jaw tightened. I don't know. But we're going to find out. For 47 days, my parents didn't speak to me. I called my mother 6 times. Voicemail. I called my father 4 times. Straight to voicemail. I sent texts. Read receipts confirmed they had seen them. No replies. Meanwhile, Claire posted 34 Instagram stories about her Bali trip preparations. My parents liked every single one. They commented, "So proud of you, sweetheart," and "You deserve this." They didn't acknowledge a single one of my wedding countdown posts. James watched me spiral. He held me when I cried. He made tea when I couldn't sleep. And he quietly started doing something I wouldn't know about until much later. He started digging. On September 8th, my phone finally rang. My mother. We'll come to the wedding. But don't expect us to be happy about it. My heart sank further. Your father and I have discussed this. We'll be there because family shows up, but we won't pretend this is okay. You chose your date over your sister's dreams. Actions have consequences. A pause. We won't participate in photos until you apologize to Claire. And we're not contributing money. This is to teach you humility, Melissa. Humility. My father's word. Now hers. I wanted to say, this isn't humility. This is control. Instead I just said, okay. She hung up. I sat there, phone in my hand, feeling emptier than I ever had. 8 days before the wedding, October 10th, I received an email from Jenna Morrison, the venue coordinator. Subject line, urgent, conflicting instructions. Hi Melissa, I hope you're doing well. I'm reaching out because I've received some conflicting communication regarding your October 18th event. I wanted to clarify with you directly before proceeding. See attached emails. Attached were 3 emails. All from my mother. Email 1. September 3, 2025. Hello, this is Diane Unoa, mother of the bride. We need to discuss moving the October 18th event to 2026. What are our options? Please call me. Email 2. September 15th. Jenna, I understand there are penalties, but this is a family matter. Surely you can work with us. The bride is making a mistake and we're trying to protect her. Email 3. October 2nd. This wedding should not proceed on this date. I'm asking you as the mother of the bride to help us stop this mistake. Call me immediately. My blood went cold. She had tried to cancel my wedding behind my back. 3 times. I forwarded the email chain to James. 1 line, she tried to cancel our wedding. He called me immediately, his voice low and controlled. Melissa, I need you to come home tonight. I've been working on something. This is bigger than you think. That night, James set his laptop on the kitchen table and pulled up a chair. I need you to trust me, he said. I do. Good. Because I've spent the last 3 weeks digging into your family's finances. James is a financial analyst. He has access to research tools most people never see, and he had used every one of them. Your grandparents' trust fund, he said. The $120,000. I wanted to see whether your parents could legally withhold it. He turned the laptop toward me. Bank statements. Account ledgers. Highlighted entries. In January 2025, the trust fund held exactly $120,000. What your grandparents left. I nodded. On July 18, 2025, there was a withdrawal. He clicked to the next page. Transfer amount, $80,000. Recipient, Claire R. Unoa. Memo, advance wedding distribution. My stomach dropped. Claire's not even engaged, I whispered. I know. I stared at the screen. July 18th. 5 days before the family meeting where they had demanded I change my date. 5 days before they sat across from us and told me I was being selfish. They had already taken the money before they even made the demand. James pulled up another document, my grandparents' will from 2019. He read it aloud. Wedding fund of $120,000 to be distributed to first grandchild upon marriage, to be used for wedding expenses, first home down payment, or marital establishment as beneficiary sees fit. He looked at me. That's you, Melissa. Not Claire. You. But your parents are the trustees. They're legally required to act in your best interest. He pointed at the screen. This is breach of fiduciary duty. They transferred $80,000 to someone who isn't even the beneficiary. That's illegal. Something shifted inside me. Not sadness. Not grief. Something colder. Clarity. What do we do? I asked. James opened another folder on his laptop. We build a case. And then, at the reception, we show everyone exactly what they did. I stared at him. You want to expose them at our wedding? They walked out on you. They tried to cancel your venue. They stole your inheritance. His voice cracked slightly. They're going to humiliate you in front of 200 people by leaving those seats empty. Melissa, they deserve to have the truth told. I thought about my grandparents. About the trust fund they had left, not for my parents to control, but for me to build a life. Okay, I said. Let's do it. James worked through the week building the case. Bank statements. Trust documents. My mother's venue sabotage emails. Screenshots of Claire's Instagram posts, including one from July 20th, just 2 days after the money hit her account. Treating myself because I deserve it. A photo of first-class tickets. He created a PowerPoint presentation. 22 slides. The night before the wedding, at 11 p.m., he called me into the living room. One more thing, he said. Look at this. Another bank transfer. September 10th, 2025, the same day my mother called to say they would attend but wouldn't pretend to be happy. Transfer amount, $15,500. Memo, Unoa Bali extension package plus excursions. Source, my father's personal account. I laughed. It came out broken. Almost hysterical. They paid for her trip. After punishing me. After saying they had no money, they sent $15,000 to extend Claire's vacation. James put his arm around me. Tomorrow, everyone knows. I woke up at 6:15 a.m. in the bridal suite at Barton Creek Resort. My heart was pounding before I even opened my eyes. I checked my phone. No messages from my parents. At the salon, my bridesmaids tried to keep the mood light. My maid of honor Jess brought mimosas. But I couldn't focus. At 9:47 a.m., Claire posted an Instagram story, a video of herself on a beach in Positano, Italy. The Bali trip had apparently extended into a full European tour. Caption, sometimes you have to choose you. #LivingMeTruth, #NorEgrets. Jess saw my face. Don't look at her page. Too late. But honestly, it made what we were about to do easier. At 2 in the afternoon, I stood in the bridal suite staring at my dress. Ivory A-line, lace sleeves, $3,200. I had paid for it entirely myself. My mother was supposed to help me into it. Instead, Jess zipped me up. I put on my grandmother's pearl necklace, from her estate. It felt heavy and warm against my collarbone. Grandma would be proud, I whispered to the mirror. At 2:33 p.m., my phone buzzed. Text from my mother, "We'll be there. But don't expect smiles." I turned the phone off. At 3:45, there was a knock at the door. My Uncle Tom, my father's younger brother, 58 years old, an HVAC contractor, the kind of man who shows up when you need him. 2 days earlier, I had asked if he would walk me down the aisle. My father had refused. Uncle Tom had said yes immediately. "Your father is making a terrible mistake, Melissa. I'd be honored." Now he stood in the doorway in his suit, eyes a little red. "Ready, kiddo?" I took his arm. Through the window, I could see guests arriving. And there, my parents. Back row, far left, as far from the front as possible. 2 empty chairs where they should have been, name cards still in place. Everyone would see them. At 4 o'clock, the ceremony began. The Overlook Pavilion was everything we had dreamed. String lights, hill country views, 178 people in white chairs. Not 200, because some distant relatives had already heard about the drama and quietly stayed home. Pachelbel's canon played. My bridesmaids walked. Then it was my turn. Uncle Tom and I walked together. I kept my eyes on James at the altar. He stood in his gray suit, steady and calm. When our eyes met, he mouthed 2 words. "You've got this." Pastor Mike smiled. "Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today." The ceremony proceeded. A reading. A prayer. Then Pastor Mike said the words every officiant says. "If anyone has objections to this union, speak now or forever hold your peace." Silence. Then, movement. Back row. My father stood up. Gasps rippled through the crowd. His voice cut through the air, loud enough for every person in that pavilion to hear. "Melissa, your mother and I are leaving. Think about what you've done to this family. We won't be part of this mistake." My mother stood beside him, sobbing loudly, theatrically. They walked down the center aisle together. Mom's heels clicking against the stone, Dad's hand on her back. 50 people from our family side sat frozen, mouths open. No one breathed. The silence lasted 45 seconds. It felt like 45 years. Then Uncle Tom leaned close and whispered, "Keep going, honey." I looked at Pastor Mike. "Continue, please." My voice came out steady. He nodded, cleared his throat. "Love is patient. Love is kind." We exchanged vows. James held my hands, and when he reached the end, he improvised. "Melissa, your strength humbles me. Today, in front of everyone here, I promise I will always stand up for you. Always. No matter who's watching." We exchanged rings. "I now pronounce you husband and wife." We kissed. The crowd applauded, some crying, some still in shock. As we walked back down the aisle, I saw my Aunt Rachel, my father's older sister. Mascara running. She mouthed, "I'm so sorry." I smiled at her. Because in 4 hours, sorry wouldn't be necessary. Justice would be. Cocktail hour. The terrace overlooked the hill country as sunset bled across the sky. Guests sipped wine, ate appetizers, and whispered, "What happened? Are they coming back? I can't believe they just left." I said the same thing to everyone who asked. They made their choice. James circulated through the crowd, calm and composed. But I saw him check his watch. At 6:30, we entered the grand ballroom. String lights crisscrossed the ceiling. Eucalyptus garlands draped the tables. The DJ announced us, and the room cheered. We danced. For 3 minutes and 40 seconds, it felt almost normal. Except for table 3, front left, where 2 chairs sat empty. Name cards still in place. Lawrence Unoa. Diane Unoa. Everyone saw them. Everyone understood. Dinner was served at 7. I couldn't eat. James couldn't either. We were waiting. At 8:15, the toasts began. Cole, the best man. Funny, warm, 6 minutes of laughter. Jess, my maid of honor. Sweet, genuine, 5 minutes of tears. Then the DJ said, "And now, a special message from the groom." James stood. Took the microphone. The room quieted. He looked at me. I gave him a single nod. He turned to face 165 people. "Thank you all for being here tonight," he said. "Especially those who stayed after the interruption earlier." A few nervous laughs. I'm not usually one for public speaking. But today, something happened that I cannot ignore. And neither should you. He clicked a button. The projection screen behind him lit up. White text on black, "The price of humility." People leaned forward. Melissa's father told her she needed to learn humility. Her mother said this wedding would teach her consequences. Well, let me show you what humility actually costs. And who has been paying it. Click. A black and white photograph. 1956. My grandparents on their wedding day. "This is where the story starts," James said. He walked through the trust documents. My grandparents' will, projected on screen, the beneficiary clause highlighted in yellow. He read it aloud slowly. Wedding fund of $120,000 to be distributed to first grandchild upon marriage. He paused. That's Melissa. Not her sister Claire. Melissa. The room was completely silent. Here's what her parents did with it. Click. A bank statement. July 18, 2025. Transfer amount, $80,000. Recipient, Claire R. Unoa. Memo. Advance wedding distribution. Gasps. Whispers. People's heads turning. James let it sit for 5 full seconds. $80,000, given to Claire, who isn't even engaged, 2 months before Melissa's wedding. While her parents told Melissa she would receive nothing. Click. Instagram screenshots. Claire in Bali. First-class flights. Luxury resorts. The caption from July 20th, 2 days after the money arrived, "Treating myself because I deserve it." Then today's post, Positano, Italy. "Sometimes you have to choose you." Lawrence and Diane Unoa told Melissa she was selfish for not moving her wedding, a wedding booked 18 months in advance, for Claire's vacation. A vacation they then paid $15,000 to extend. Click. Another bank statement. September 10, 2025. Amount, $15,500. Memo. Unoa Bali extension package. After punishing Melissa, James said, his voice quieter now but the microphone carried it perfectly. After claiming they had no money, they spent $15,000 on Claire's content trip. Aunt Rachel stood up from her table, hand over her mouth. James moved to the next slides, my mother's emails to the venue coordinator. He read them aloud. Every word. "This wedding should not proceed on this date. I'm asking you to help us stop this mistake." He looked at the room. Sent October 2nd. 16 days before the wedding. By the mother of the bride. Someone said, audibly, "Oh my God." Uncle Tom stood up, looked at the 2 empty chairs where his brother should have been, and said, loud enough for every table to hear, "Lawrence, you son of a bitch." Then sat back down. James continued. A video clip from the ceremony, 10 seconds. My father standing. His voice filling the pavilion. "Melissa, we're leaving. Think about what you've done to this family." He let it play twice. And then today, in front of 178 people, Lawrence Unoa stood up during his daughter's wedding ceremony and said this. He pointed at the screen, before walking out. Because Melissa wouldn't change her date for a vacation he funded with her inheritance money. The silence was so absolute I could hear my own heartbeat. Final slide. White text on black. Melissa didn't learn humility today. She learned who her family really is. James set the microphone down, walked to me, held out his hand. I stood. He addressed the room one last time. If anyone wants copies of these documents, for legal purposes or otherwise, I have folders here. Come find me after. He placed 3 manila folders on the table. Then he sat down beside me. 5 seconds of silence. 10. Then Aunt Rachel stood up. She started clapping, slow at first, then faster. Uncle Tom stood. James's parents. Table by table, 165 people rose to their feet. Not for us. For truth. The ovation lasted 90 seconds. After the applause ended, chaos. 15 people grabbed their coats and left immediately. Distant cousins, my father's golf friends, people who couldn't sit with what they had just witnessed. Aunt Rachel came to me, mascara running. I didn't know, she sobbed. I swear to God, Melissa. I didn't know. Uncle Tom hugged James. You did the right thing, son. My cousin Jennifer stormed outside, phone pressed to her ear. Through the window, I watched her pacing, gesturing wildly. She was screaming at someone. Probably my father. My phone, silenced on the table, lit up with 37 text notifications. James's had 28. He powered his off. Not tonight, he said. Tonight we dance. The DJ, after an appropriately stunned pause, said, okay. Let's keep this celebration going. He played Uptown Funk. The dance floor erupted. People needed the release. The energy was electric, laughter louder, dancing harder. It became genuinely the best party I have ever attended. At 9:45 p.m., Cole grabbed the microphone for an impromptu second toast. To James, for having courage. To Melissa, for having a spine. And to all of us, for witnessing the most legendary wedding reception moment in history. The room erupted. At midnight, we were back in the bridal suite. James turned his phone on. 4 voicemails. 1 from Uncle Tom, call me tomorrow. I need copies of those documents. 3 from unknown numbers. He played the third on speaker. This is Amanda Chen from KVUE News. We received a tip about an incident at a wedding tonight involving Lawrence Unoa of Unoa Auto Group. Can you confirm and provide comment? I looked at James. It's spreading already, I said. He pulled me close. Good. Let it spread. Sunday morning, October 19th. 3 of James's cousins had posted about the speech on social media. By noon, one post had 2,300 shares. The comments were relentless. Sue them. Boycott Unoa dealerships. This is insane. Someone had started a hashtag. Then my phone rang. Unknown number, Austin area code. Hello, Melissa? This is attorney David Brennan. I specialize in trust litigation. I saw what happened last night. I'd like to represent you. Pro bono. Tuesday, October 21st. James and I sat across from David Brennan in his downtown office, 7th floor, glass windows overlooking the city. He was 55, silver-haired, sharp. He had been practicing estate law for 25 years. He reviewed everything, trust documents, bank statements, emails, text messages, for 90 minutes. Then he looked up. You have an airtight case. Breach of fiduciary duty. Your parents as trustees violated their legal obligation to act in your best interest. That $80,000 distribution to Claire, illegal. You're entitled to full restoration of trust funds plus punitive damages. He did quick math on a legal pad. Estimated settlement, $193,000. The original $120,000, plus $55,000 in punitive damages, plus $18,000 in legal fees. I felt dizzy. How long, if they settle? He smiled. 2 weeks. If they fight, 6 months. But they'll settle. The publicity alone will force them. Thursday, October 23rd. David filed the lawsuit in Travis County District Court. Complaint: breach of fiduciary duty, conversion, unjust enrichment. Demand: $193,000. Papers were served to my parents on Friday, October 24th. At 3:15 p.m., Uncle Tom texted, "Your father just called me. He's furious. Says you're destroying the family name." I told him, "You destroyed it when you walked out on your daughter." He hung up on me. By Monday, October 27th, the Austin American-Statesman had picked up the story. KVUE ran a 2-minute segment. They interviewed Uncle Tom on camera. "My brother made a terrible mistake. He let pride and favoritism destroy his relationship with his daughter. And now he's facing consequences, legal and social, as he should." According to Uncle Tom's sources, sales at the dealerships dropped 35% that week. Tuesday, October 29th. David called. "They want to mediate. Their lawyer contacted me this morning. They're ready to settle." I felt nothing. No victory. Just tired. "Okay. Let's finish this." November 5th. Mediation. A neutral office building downtown. My parents and I were in separate rooms the entire time. I never saw their faces. The mediator moved back and forth for 4 hours. Finally, they're offering $193,000. Full amount. "One more term," I said. "Written apology. Signed. Acknowledging what they did." 30 minutes later, they agree. James and I walked out. Done. Friday, November 8th. The apology arrived by certified mail. 1 page. Typed. Signed by both. "We, Lawrence and Diane Unoa, acknowledge that we allowed favoritism and pride to guide our actions regarding Melissa's wedding and the trust fund established by our parents. We violated the trust they placed in us as fiduciaries. We failed Melissa as parents. We are deeply sorry." I read it once. Felt nothing. "Is it enough?" James asked. "It's words. The $193,000 is justice. This is just paper." I put it in a drawer. Never responded. Tuesday, November 12th. The money arrived. Wire transfer. Balance: $193,000. I stared at the screen for a long time. Then I started looking at houses. April 2026. James and I bought our first home, 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, in Buda, Texas. Purchase price: $385,000. Down payment: $55,000 from the settlement. I was 12 weeks pregnant. We hadn't spoken to my parents since mediation. Complete silence. Claire's Instagram following had dropped to 91,000. She had lost 65,000 followers since the story went viral. Several brand partnerships had dissolved. She posted less frequently now. The captions were different, less certain. At Easter dinner at Aunt Rachel's, she said quietly, "Your father asks about you through your uncle. He wants to meet the baby when it comes." I set down my fork. Maybe. If he earns it. Actions, not words. Uncle Tom nodded. "That's fair." That night, James and I sat in the nursery. Soft yellow walls. A crib we had assembled together. He was reviewing trust documents, new ones, the ones we were creating for our child. "What should we put in our will?" he asked. "For this kid." I thought about my grandparents. About the trust fund they had left. About how it had been used as a weapon against me instead of a gift for me. I smiled. "How about, use this to build a life that makes you happy. Not us. You." James kissed me. "Perfect. My parents sent a gift last week. I returned it. Maybe someday there will be reconciliation. Maybe not." But I learned something that afternoon in the Overlook Pavilion, with 165 people watching and 2 empty chairs in the front row. Some families are born. Some are built. Ours is the kind we built ourselves. From honesty, from courage, From the truth James spoke into a microphone while I sat beside him and finally stopped waiting to be seen. They came to teach me humility. They left having learned something themselves. And what they discovered, about inheritance, about reputation, about the permanence of public truth, they will carry for a very long time.